this is it. This is my Valentine's Day inspired look. I feel like the soft curls are very old school and classic, and the purple eye makeup is very... I like Valentine's Day, but I'm skeptical about it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, I'm Hema and I have no idea what I'm doing. So, welcome! Since it's February, I decided it'll be a good idea to do a Valentine's Day themed video, and I'm trying to get this really fun night out look because, you know, your girl's single. It's not like I might as well just go out and find somebody, right? While working on this makeup look, I would like to talk to you guys about how restrictive brown families can be not the best thing for healthy relationships as adults. And let's get started. The weirdest thing about being Indian or South Asian in any ways when you're a teenager, God forbid you're interested in someone romantically, but then when the moment you hit your 20s, everyone starts talking about marriage. The idea of committing to a human being before you're aware what a relationship is like is really, really dumb. I totally understand why people are that way, because no one ever considered healthy relationships an option when modern society started. Like, marriage was just a license to have sex and to unite families. It was never about the parties getting married, and then people started realizing that it was a crappy structure, but people in power didn't want to change it, right? And we are still very, not me, not us, but a lot of people are still very attached to the idea that romantic relationships prior to marriage is not the right move. Being in a romantic relationship in my 20s is not the worst thing for the adults surrounding me, but having been scared to death about romantic relationships as a teenager, I don't think I'm mentally ready for that right now, and it's a very scary, frustrating place to be in. And I'm in my mid-20s and I do not know how to hold down a relationship. And the examples of romantic relationships around me are close to non-existent. Okay, I think I put on too much highlighter. I'll glow like a goddess, it's fine. I don't know if you have the same experience as me, or you are one of the traditionalists that don't believe in the importance of learning how to be in a relationship before committing to being in one, because when you get married, you're signing up to literally spend a long time with a human being, and you need to find someone compatible, and you're not gonna find compatibility in the first person you meet, you know? It's not that easy. So many people we see around us are consistently in bad relationships because they don't know what they need in a relationship, or they don't know what a good relationship is supposed to look like. So it just ends up being this very messy scenario, so to speak. I also think the biggest problem is that many people who have not been exposed to actual romantic relationships, they're exposed to parents that ended up in an arranged marriage and hence were stuck together, do not have an idea of what a proper partnership should look like. Oh wait, what am I talking about? Brown people don't know what partnerships are. They want a relationship where the woman would say yes to anything and, you know, be a submissive, and that is not ideal for many of us now. And we're not signing up to be babysitters for poorly raised men, right? I think the real major problem is that many people in conservative communities end up in marriages without knowing what they need out of a relationship. They get married because it's time and they met this person who seems nice, and that is never sufficient to develop a strong partnership among two people, between two people. What am I saying? I mean, no way saying by all means go ahead, let your 13-year-old have sex, but what I'm saying is teach them what is important, like how they should be treated by another human being that they are going to share their lives with. And I'm not exactly the expert on this matter. And also developing and maintaining a romantic relationship is a huge part of human development, because we are all, you know, created to want attention, especially from people that we find sexually attractive, because that's just how humans have been created. That's how we were engineered by nature. But as adults, we're more desperate for relationships, and I think a lot of people tend to cave into the whole we will make it work mentality that we have seen among the adults that we grew up surrounded by, and it's such a weird way to live. All I'm saying is that once we hit our 20s, people just expect us to be equipped for a relationship, and I'm like, bro, I haven't had practice. Like, you wouldn't let me drive without, you know, teaching me how to drive and making me take a driving test. Why is it okay for you to expect me to choose a partner when no one ever taught me how to do that? Also, I don't know why people are so terrified to talk about romance and sex and all that stuff with kids, because I'm sorry, but your kids are gonna have sex someday, and you might as well start dealing with it when they're young, because they're gonna be curious anyway, and you don't want them getting information from the worst possible sources. I also think the other major issue with not teaching your kids how to be in a relationship is that you're inadvertently scaring them off of relationships, because you keep telling them it's wrong, and then it gets ingrained in their brains, and when they hit their 20s, they are kind of like, I don't think that's a good idea, because deep down they have been taught that they shouldn't be doing that. In all fairness, I'm probably the worst person to be talking about romantic relationships, because I have never ventured into one for fear of making terrible choices, and it's very ironic that I, of all people, think that practice is important. So yeah, I'm gonna die alone with 7 cats. That's totally fine. Cats are cute. I think I keep looking at people in marriages and in relationships, and none of that seems particularly enticing to me, because there's just so much compromising involved and so much societal pressure attached to it. It is honestly still one of those things I'm like, I don't understand why people want the government to be involved in their personal life when it comes to marriage. And I know I have a weird take on it, and a lot of people don't view it that way because most people are normal, but I'm not. I think people getting into relationships with a lack of awareness of what they should be looking for is like the biggest problem, and it's going to take generations to change that. And then there's always the issue of age and how they would prefer an older guy to be dating a younger woman, which totally doesn't make sense in today's world, because it's not like the guy has to be the breadwinner of the family. I personally think the entire idea of marriage, and not relationships, marriage in the religious sense and in the legal sense, to be very flawed, because it's based on the patriarchal history that the community is and was. But you know, we're changing. One of the things is to change the way we view marriage, because it's such an integral part of people's lives, and if we cannot adjust that, amend that, and change that, we're going to keep having next generations of people believing the fallacies about the male and female and the role of the woman and the role of the man. The only part of a relationship that sounds nice and fun for me is probably the attention, not the actual act of having to share my life with someone. But I'm a human being. I like attention. Actually, I take that back. I'm a living thing. I like attention. Apparently cats and trees like more attention than I do. And don't get me wrong, I am the type of feminist that believes that everyone should make their choice. If you want to take your husband's name, you can take your husband's name. If you want to give up your career for children, you know, it's ultimately your right. But fundamentally, the institution of marriage has expected women to give it up, and that is what's kind of frustrating for me. Or like the things you hear from people in relationships or in marriages, where the men actually take pride in saying that, oh, I've only changed one poopy diaper of my child. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Your wife may not be working and she's taking care of the child and the household. But you shouldn't say that with that kind of smugness. You shouldn't have been keeping track in the first place. Or the total and complete lack of respect for a housewife's emotional labor. People like to act as if housewives do nothing to contribute for the society and for their family because they're just at home. But there is just so much that goes on into running a situation like that. And these women, oh no, are doing it. They are playing their part in, you know, creating this life for other beings, but they don't get the slightest amount of recognition for it from society. Okay, now that the makeup look is pretty much complete, I'll be right back. I don't know what's more vintage, the 80s inspired eye makeup or the dress with shoulder pads or earrings that have pearls on them. I have a vibe, I like the 80s. Also, let's be honest, if you know anything about me, you know that I don't believe in the fact that humans are meant to be monogamous in any way. So the idea of a long-term relationship or marriage, it's a very strange concept because humans get bored easily. That's why we have so much innovation. That's why things constantly change, and we are always welcoming towards change that benefits us. And that kind of directly translates or relates to, you know, finding something new, finding someone that can treat you in a new way. And I feel like marriage and the idea of relationships that we have in our community as a whole, it's very much opposed to the law of nature that we apply to everything else in our lives. And it's very ironic. And this is just something that everyone experiences, but no one wants to talk about it because
we are so afraid that once the idea...
We're so afraid that once we eliminate the idea of marriage, it will put a huge dent in the patriarchy that we live in. And trust me, a lot of people don't want that. I mean, I get it. A lot of people are afraid to spend their older years or their last days alone, but that is no reason to be trapped in something that you don't want to be trapped in, and we've seen that happen far too much. Okay, I'd already curled my hair. I just wanted to fix the front bits a little bit, but okay, my hair blends into the door. It's great, you can't even tell, but and then it blends into my dress. You know what? A black dress may not have been the best choice. So, overall, I'm done. I think I'm glowing and I look fabulous. And thanks for watching this video, you guys. Till I see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.